Hi, and welcome to the Snooze Strategists. This is the show where we take a scientific basis to help you work around your energy levels so that you can work less, achieve more, and be healthier. I'm Alex Young, and here we have our resident sleep scientist, Ashen Vithana. Ashen, how's it going?
I'm feeling great. Excited for this podcast, and I'm glad I'm indoors, not in this cold weather outside in Melbourne today.
It is cooling down. And it is the daytime right now, so we do have a bit of sun left in the day to enjoy. Should we get into our topic today?
Yes, let's jump in.
So, a very simple question. So, this is probably going to be a short one, but it may be a question that people have been asking and maybe on their mind. So, the question is longer sleep or consistent sleep, and what's the best for you? So, maybe if you can just sort of give some definition, what are these two things?
Yep. Consistency is usually when you go to sleep at a specific time quite regularly every night. Usually it's within 1 hour. This publications or research is not really strong, but I think general acceptance is about 1 hour. But ideally, when I have chat to people, I think I usually say, but if you can go to sleep around half an hour of the previous night's sleep time, that's great. And the short sleep usually refers to, or sleep time refers to how long people sleep, and short sleep usually sleep less than 7 hours a night. But once again, research varies a lot. A lot of studies have picked 5 hours as short sleep. Some have done 6, some have done 7. So it's a bit all over the place. And long sleep is usually considered over 9 hours per night.
And there's a sense of, there's a minimal amount for healthy sleep, which you'll call that as it's the 7-8 hours.
That's right. I think I would say minimal sleep for adults is 7 plus, or 7 to 9 hours. 7 is a minimal, but ideally 7 to 9 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the consistency is just around what time you sleep each evening. So being quite, as you said, 30 minutes plus or minus of the same time. So it's that regularity and the rhythm that you've got on a day-to-day basis.
That's absolutely right. And I think I like the fact you use a rhythm, because our body the body clock circadian rhythm it likes routine. So it likes that
routine,
sameness.
Yeah.
So that's where the importance of consistency comes in. So and that body clock or circadian rhythm is associated with certain stages of sleep, like your REM sleep, which so it likes that if you go to sleep same time, wake up same time, the body knows that, all right, this is the time for me to have a bit more REM sleep versus non-REM sleep. So the quality of the sleep will be higher if you go to sleep at a specific time and wake up at a specific time pretty much every day. These aren't concrete rules, so don't, I guess, beat yourself if you one night you just went to sleep a couple of hours later. That there's always room for error, but ideally your schedule, it should be a solid schedule.
Okay. All right. So now we know what these two things mean: that longer sleep, the duration, and the consistency around the regularity and the rhythm. What's the best for you? And is there an either or?
I think this is a tricky one, but I would pick consistency. If you have listened to our previous episode on social jet lag, I think you will get a better understanding. Going to bed at certain times will help the body to get into this kind of routine or rhythm of doing certain things. There's a lot of studies associated with your mental health, physical health, to being consistent. So I think I would prioritize that for sure.
Okay. But the caveat being that ideally you want both.
Ideally,
if you have the ability to do it, you want both of those.
Absolutely. So I would prioritize the consistency, and then straightly next thing would be I get my minimum sleep in. So definitely there's a caveat.
Okay. Oh, so and this, I think part of the difficulty here is that it's not necessarily either or, and it's not necessarily what's the winning formula, but this is just the body needs both the rhythm, the regularity, as well as the duration. So you can't skimp on one or the other, and it's really just about the pairing of them together.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think if we get either wrong, there are lot of negative consequences which we can't really balance it out by getting one more than the other. So I think that's very important. You need to have both of these. Yeah, you're right. It's we need to get both of these right. And becoming, and this, you can easily use this to build your work life around this, I guess. Make sure you prioritize the routineness of your life. So waking up certain time, go to sleep certain time, and having that enough sleep before you go back to sleep, go back to work the next day.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. That kind of answers the question. I do have a few more things on top of this, but I think that answers the question of the one versus the other, and clearly you've sort of called out it's ideally you want both. I was just thinking about that social jet lag and how that sounded like it was the 5 days of hard work, late nights. Maybe you're an overachiever, you're busy in the office, or just the nature of your work, and then the weekend comes and you do your best to recoup. What if this is kind of as an overachiever or as someone that's trying to get a lot done, one night you may go to bed very late, the next day you might try and make up for it an hour earlier, and you've kind of got this zigzag or this inconsistency just fluctuating from a day-to-day basis. What's the impact of that?
So I think going back to some of the studies, there are negative consequences associated with both, like could be long-term psychological disadvantages, like I think developing anxiety and stress, to physical issues if that difference is more than an hour.
Yeah.
So I think studies have demonstrated up to hour it's tolerable. I think the other thing, during daytime, if you constantly keep switching the bedtimes, you have this underlying fatigue. So you're not performing at the 100% level. Even though you would stay long one night and do some extra work, great, you got our 2 works done. But the next day you will have some underlying tiredness and fatigue that will stop you from performing at the highest peak or the highest capacity. So it's more like short-term thinking, not really helping you, that giving you the long-term benefits, I guess. So that's where the self-discipline part, I guess for me, sometimes a bit of an ego part as well. No, I can do this, so I must do this now, and show them that I'm capable of doing these things on time. Or so you need to be kind of manage your expectations and your team, your boss's expectations, and make sure you take care of yourself, because then you can keep performing at the peak level. And I guess keep yourself accountable for those things.
Okay. So if you do need to do that in terms of working late sporadically or over an extended period of time, you just need to be cognizant of repairing that pattern and getting that consistency back.
Yeah, that's right. If you have to, for some reason, try to kind of keep that period to a shorter period of time. I guess for daytime fatigue, tiredness, you can follow some of the tips we provided in early episodes on coffee, or keep yourself stimulated. But as quickly as possible, I would try to go back to that kind of routine when that heavy workload's gone, and make sure to get enough sleep as well. I think we mentioned before, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Main reason I keep enforcing that is that there's a lot of studies show if you don't sleep too little, if you sleep too little, or if you sleep too much, they're both associated with increased risk of all-cause mortality, reduced immunity, increased inflammation, psychological issues, depression. So there's a whole bunch of stuff around sleep. So it's really important we get that good enough sleep, so you will be healthy, performing at your peak for a longer period of time.
Okay. Well, one thing I've found that's been quite helpful for me throughout the course of doing this sort of the podcast is that since I started documenting just on paper that first set of sleep patterns. What time did I sleep? What time did I wake up? And then now shifting to an app. So I'm using this sleep cycle app. It makes it a lot easier to recognize your patterns and to recognize when the difference between going to bed and actually sleeping. And so with the paper process, it says that you need to use your best judgment, but you don't know when you've actually gone to sleep. It could be 5 minutes later or 50 minutes later, which is quite why technology may be quite helpful in terms of whether it's listening to you snoring or deep breathing or whatever that may be, to help you track that. Because once you've got some data on yourself, it's a lot easier. And I'm finding it's much more fun to be able to understand what's happening, what am I doing, what's actually happening, and then how do I get back on track, because you've got a record of it. It's too easy to go, I think I went to sleep at this time, I think I woke up at that time. You could be lying in bed awake an hour before you register that I think I woke up at 6, but I was probably up from 5 lying there. So that difference, I think, is quite big, and I think that's where it's worthwhile investing in just documenting yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice and great ask. Technology can play a role there. I think smart watches and Fitbit and all these wearables do provide quite decent amount of data and fairly decent quality data as well. So there are limitations, I guess, they both, but definitely it's good to collect that data so you understand what your baseline is. Otherwise, you may not realize that you sleep too little, or you have these fluctuating, I guess, baselines as well.
It's easy to fool ourselves as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah.
There's something we should talk about, that sleep accountability.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe that's easier when you've got someone else in the household that can hold you accountable for it. But the more we talk about it, the more important and critical it sounds. Balancing out the effort that we put in our day activities to the effort that we put on actually getting that quality of sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned a few times having that kind of building the community around you to support you. That will definitely help you in this journey. Yeah.
Okay. Any final words in terms of the balance of these two?
It can be a tricky balance, but as you mentioned, that if going to bedtime consistently keep changing, at least try to prioritize the amount of sleep you get, then it will provide some level of comfort or support for you. But it's definitely important to, whenever you can, kind of bring that kind of balance again to your sleep. Okay,
very good. All right, well, it's a short one for today, but very valuable lesson here. So for everyone, before you doze off, don't forget to hit the like button if you're watching the YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe as well if you'd like to continue getting these free tips. Until then, we're Alex and Ashen, your trusty snooze strategists, reminding you to catch those Z's and keep dreaming of a well-rested world. So sweet dreams, and see you next time.